Christianity's the weird one, though. Christianity's such an odd religion, I was raised that way, and you just suffer from it. The whole image is that, eternal suffering awaits anyone who questions God's infinite love. That's the message, isn't it, that we're brought with? Believe or die.
Thank you for giving, Lord, for all those options.
It's a weird belief, man, people. Another big issue that happened over there, at least in England, it was huge. I don't know if it was here because I wasn't here. Was women priests. What do y'all think of that? Women priests. I say, why not? Why not? Now we'll have priests of both sexes I don't listen to. Who gives a fuck? How about that for an answer? Have one with 3 balls and 8 titties. I could give a flying fuck. How about that? Have one with gills and a trunk. Hermaphrodite one. I don't give a shit. Well, I appreciate your quaint cults, traditions, superstitions, and customs. I, on the other hand, am an evolved being who deals solely with the source of light that exists in all of our minds. No middleman required. Living God.
Do you know why you're here, Evie Hammond? You're being formally charged with conspiracy to commit treason, terrorism, and sedition, the penalty for which is death by firing squad. You have one chance, and only one chance, to save your life. You must tell us the identity or whereabouts of Codename V. Do you understand what I'm telling you?
Yes.
Are you ready to cooperate?
No.
The truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this country.
Whoa! Excuse me, miss.
I'm sorry.
Not yet, you're not. But you will be. The only verdict is vengeance. A vendetta. If our own government was responsible for the deaths of 100,000 people, would you really want to know?
You're getting back at them for what they did to you.
What was done to me was monstrous.
And they created a monster.
Fear became the ultimate tool of this government.
I want this country to realize that we stand on the edge of oblivion. I want everyone to remember why they need us.
I wish I wasn't afraid all the time.
People should not be afraid of their government. Government should be afraid of their people. It is you.
Several prominent party members have been murdered, Chief Inspector.
This is exactly what he wants.
What?
Chaos. Beneath this mask, there's more than flesh. There is an idea, Mr. Creepy, and ideas are bulletproof. Remember the 5th of November.
Mr. Dascom, what we need right now is a clear message to the people of this country. This message must be read in every newspaper, heard on every radio, seen on every television. This message must resound throughout the entire interlink. I want this country to realize that we stand on the edge of oblivion. I want every man, woman, and child to understand how close we are to chaos. I want everyone to remember why they need us.
In the former United States, civil war continues to devastate the Midwest.
Scientists attribute this latest water shortage to the lack of rainfall the last 2 years. Ministry officials expect water coupon prices to rise.
Police have arrested 9 suspects.
Can you believe this shit?
Reporting avian flu
Going on
vaccine.
all summer.
Outside the quarantine zone, a new airborne pathogen has killed 27 people.
Authorities have uncovered new evidence linking the terrorist organisation called V to the St Mary's viral attack on London 14 years ago.
You have information for us?
No, you already have the information. All the names, the dates inside your head. What you want, what you really need, is a story.
A story can be true or false.
I leave such judgments to you, Inspector.
Our story begins, as these stories often do, with a young, up-and-coming politician. He's a deeply religious man and a member of the Conservative Party. He's completely single-minded and has no regard for the political process. The more power he attains, the more obvious his zealotry, and the more aggressive his supporters become. Eventually, his party launches a special project in the name of national security. At first, it's believed to be a search for biological weapons, and it's pursued without regard to its cost. However, the true goal of this project is power, complete and total hegemonic domination. The project, however, ends violently. But the efforts of those involved are not in vain, for a new ability to wage war is born from the blood of one of the victims.
Imagine a virus, the most terrifying virus you can, and then imagine that you and you alone have the cure. But if your ultimate goal is power, how best to use such a weapon? Well, it's at this point in our story that along comes a spider. He is a man seemingly without a conscience, for whom the ends always justify the means, and it is he who suggests that their target should not be an enemy of the country, but rather the country itself. 3 targets are chosen to maximize the effect of the attack: a school, a tube station, and a water treatment plant. Several hundred die within the first few weeks.
That Three Waters has in fact been contaminated.
Authorities are attempting to control its deadly spread.
Sent a wave of destruction throughout the underground.
Fueled by the media, fear and panic spread quickly, fracturing and dividing the country until at last the true goal comes into view. Before the St. Mary's crisis, no one would have predicted the results of the election that year, no one. And then not long after the election, lo and behold, a miracle. Some believed it was the work of God himself, but it was a pharmaceutical company controlled by certain party members that made them all obscenely rich. A year later, several extremists are tried, found guilty and executed, while a memorial is built to canonize their victims. But the end result, the true genius of the plan, was the fear. Fear became the ultimate tool of this government, and through it, our politician was ultimately appointed to the newly created position of High Chancellor. The rest, as they say, is history.
I do, like many of you, appreciate the comforts of the everyday routine, the security of the familiar, the tranquility, repetition.
Bloody hell.
I enjoy them as much as any bloke. But in the spirit of commemoration,
Who's that, Mum?
whereby those important events of the past, usually associated with someone's death or the end of some awful bloody struggle, are celebrated with a nice holiday, I thought we could mark this November the 5th, a day that is sadly no longer remembered, by taking some time out of our daily lives to sit down and have a little chat. There are, of course, those who do not want us to speak.
Just let me think.
I suspect even now, orders are being shouted into telephones, and men with guns will soon be on their way.
It's Chancellor Sutler.
Damn it! Why? Because while the truncheon may be used in lieu of conversation, words will always retain their power. Words offer the means to meaning, and for those who will listen, the enunciation of truth. And the truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this country, isn't there?
You designed it, sir. You wanted it foolproof. You told me every television in London.
Cruelty and injustice, intolerance and oppression. And where once you had the freedom to object, to think and speak as you saw fit, you now have censors and systems of surveillance coercing your conformity and soliciting your submission.
We need cameras.
How did this happen? Who's to blame? Well, certainly there are those who are more responsible than others, and they will be held accountable. But again, truth be told, if you're looking for the guilty, you need only look into a mirror. I know why you did it. I know you were afraid. Who wouldn't be? War, terror, disease. There were a myriad of problems which conspired to corrupt your reason and rob you of your common sense. Fear got the best of you, and in your panic you turned to the now High Chancellor Adam Sutler. He promised you order, he promised you peace, and all he demanded in return was your silent, obedient consent.
Inspector, you're almost through.
Last night I sought to end that silence. Last night I destroyed the Old Bailey to remind this country of what it has forgotten.
More than 400 years ago, a great citizen wished to embed the 5th of November forever in our memory. His hope was to remind the world that fairness, justice, and freedom are more than words. They are perspectives. So if you've seen nothing, if the crimes of this government remain unknown to you, then I would suggest that you allow the 5th of November to pass unmarked. But if you see what I see, if you feel as I feel, and if you would seek as I seek,
then I ask you to stand beside me 1 year from tonight, outside the gates of Parliament,
and together we shall give them a 5th of November that shall never, ever be forgotten.